Hey, sports fans, Larry Eater here. This is Conversations with Larry. Special edition. And this is for the European Athletics Indoor Championships in Apeldoorn, the Netherlands. And that is this Thursday, March 6th through Sunday, March 9th, 2025. RunBlogRun's going to be there on site. We're going to be covering it on site and remotely via social media, stories, podcast, previews, reviews, you name it. Run Blog Run will be doing it, baby. Here we go. So we're going to talk about the session. So the first day is Thursday, day one. It's March 6th, and that has one session. It's the evening session. It starts at 5:30 with an opening ceremony. And then we go at 6:20 to the men's high jump. Some pretty good competition there. Some strong Italian high jumpers. So it'll be kind of fun to see Mr. Fascinati among them. The triple jump starts at 6:35. That'll be the qualification as well. You're hearing Smokey and Bandit, my crazy cats, in the background. That just kind of adds to the choral atmosphere of what we do. So after the women's triple jump at 6:35, the qualification for the women's pole vault, and that's going to really be interesting. Angelika Mosher, Tina Sutesh, and I think there'll be some surprises there. There's some really strong performances. Molly Cottery from Great Britain is not competing. She's doing just the worlds, but I really think the pole vault here could be really interesting and very intriguing. Then we've got two 1500s, the women's 1500 with Georgia Bell, Olympic bronze medalist. That's going to be very interesting. Who are going to be the players there? That's at 7:10. At 7:55, round one of the men's 1500. Jakob Ingebrigtsen, who is doing the 1500 and the 3000. This guy loves European championships. And as you know, he just broke the world records for the 1500 and the mile. He ran 329.83 and 345.14. It's the first time that both races have been broken in one race since John Landy back in 1954 in Turku, Finland. Yes, that's why you have me here, because I am a geek. But Ingebrigtsen's going to have some tough competition. Mr. Gorley from the UK, among others. I think the French are going to be incredibly tough. I love the rounds in the 1500s at the European Indoors. Oh my gosh, they're so cool. The men's long jump qualifying, this could be the finest event of the entire championships. Mattia Furlani, the Italian young stallion who just turned 21, went 8:37 in Torun at the Orland Copernicus Cup, one of my favorite meets of all times. And at that meeting, he defeated for the very first time Miltiadis Tengdatoglou, the Greek superstar in the long jump. The guy has won everything. And don't think Miltiadis has gotten that out of his head. He will have a little bit of pasta with Mizithra cheese, and he will be ready to ramble. 60-meter hurdles for women, Mushinga Kambunji, among others, Nadine Visser. They're both. Europe has this generation of young and established stars that are really bringing the young people back to the sport, and I love it. So that's the 60-meter hurdles for women. The 60-meter hurdles for men, that's going to be interesting. Very interesting. Mr. Wilhelm Balassian from France, the Spanish high hurdlers. There's going to be some surprises in the men's 60-meter hurdles. And then it's going to end with our only final for the evening. So the 60-meter hurdles are 8:48 and at 9:20. The women's are at 8:48. The men's are at 9:20. The final event of the evening at 9:52 will be the mixed relay. Now, as everybody knows, Femke Bol is only doing the relay. So it's Femke and Lieke Klaver for the women in the Netherlands, the home team. And this stadium in Apeldoorn has been sold out every session for months. It is going to be, we're staying 28 miles away and in a little double tree and coming in, but that's, how we do things anyway. And then there'll be the medal ceremony at 10:05 for the mixed. So that's cool. I like that they're doing finals in each session. I think that's really, and that's what you've got to do to keep it attractive and get people excited. Okay, so day two is March 7th, and it starts early. I'm going to be having some espresso. It's with the heptathlon, baby, and it's the 60-meter hep, and then that's at 9:30. And at 10:05, the long jump hep. And so we'll have two events going before you had your first really good cup of coffee. At 10:15, round one of the women's 800. That the 800 on an indoor track is like roller derby meets professional wrestling. It is exciting. It's fun. There's knocks. It's fast. It's furious. It's going to be a blast. The high jump qualification for women, Yaroslava Huchik, Angelina Topic. Angelina's dad, I interviewed back in 1996, Dragujan. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm hoping to finally get to see him again. I haven't seen him in years. The first round of the men's 800 meters is at 11:05, and that is going to be physical. That is one of the most fun races to watch. The qualifying rounds are crazy town because it is you make it or you break it, baby. The long jump qualifying for women, Malika Mahambo, and just an incredible coterie of great long jumpers. That's at 11:42. Then it's followed up by round one in the women's 400 meters. And what are we going to see there? Who's going to challenge Lieke Klaver? In the men's 400 round one, that's going to be incredibly interesting. Alex Haydock Wilson from Great Britain. And I'm really curious to see who, one, shows up, and two, the 400 is a really difficult event. You lead from the beginning, or you're in trouble. So that's going to be really fun. That's so that's the men's 400 round one. That's at 12:45. The shot put hep starts at 12:58. Then the triple jump qualifying. Max Hess from Germany. Heb from Germany. He because I don't know how to pronounce that German. It's like a B. He is the I think he's the world leader, 1752. And then the final event for the morning session is semifinal, in fact. It's at 1:45 is the women's 60-meter hurdles, and then at 2:05 the men's 60-meter hurdles. That's a long first session, kids, right? And then we go to the evening session, which starts at 6:50, and that's the women's triple jump. So we'll see how the qualifying goes. The high jump for the hep is at 7. The pole vault qualifying for the men is Emmanuel Karalasis, the Greek national record holder who just went 6:01. That's at 7:05. The semifinals for the women's 400 is at 7:58. This is a pretty long session. The men's semifinal is at 8:19. Again, this is on the 7th, the second day. At 8:34, the men's long jump final. Mattia Furlani and Miltiades Tengatlu. I don't know. I can't pick it. It's going to be big, big jumps, kids. It's going to be a lot of fun. And this is mind-boggling. That is followed up by the women's 1500 final at 9 o'clock, and at 9:15, the men's 1500 final. And then we go to the final events of the evening. The women's 60-meter hurdles at 9:43, and at 9:53, the men's 60-meter hurdles. I love all these finals, don't you? And that's the way it should be. So day 3 is Saturday, March 8th, 2025. And that starts with day 2 of the men's heptathlon, the 60-meter hurdles. That's at 10 a.m. It's followed at 10:20 with the women's 3,000 meters, round 1. That's an interesting, and those are always fun. At 10:50, we have the shot put women's qualifying, and that's going to be a big event. And the Netherlands has Jessica Schindler there. At 11, the pole vault hep starts, and that should be a lot of fun. At 12, the 60 meters, round 1, and that's a really open event. There's some strong performers there, but I'm looking forward. I don't know if it's going to be a newbie or if it's going to be one of the veterans. We know that Marcel Jacobs got sick, the Olympic champion, European champion. But there's so many fine European sprinters, so I'm really curious to see who's in shape, and we'll see that in the first round. The long jump Paralympic, that's the at 12:40. That's for the men. At 12:45, we have the 3,000 men's round 1. Yes, you'll get to see Jakob Ingebrigtsen there, so that should be interesting. And I forgot to mention Joanna Nuttall will be competing at 10:20 earlier in the day in the women's 3,000. But the 3,000 should be pretty tight, and that'll be a lot of fun. The 60-meter Paralympic, that will be at 1:17. And then there's a nice break, and we come back at 5:30 with the triple jump medal ceremony. At 5:36, the men's long jump ceremony. At 5:42, the women's medal ceremony. And at 5:48, the men's medal ceremony. At 5:54, the 60-meter hurdles women's medal ceremony. And then at 6 o'clock, the medal ceremony for the men in the 60-meter hurdles. Then we go to the triple jump final for the men. That's at 6:40. At 7:10, we have the 60 meters men's semifinal. And that's followed by the women's pole vault final. That's at 7:35 for the women's pole vault final. And I think that's going to be a very strong competition. At 7:53, the semifinals for the women's 800, that's when it starts getting pretty serious business in the 800. So that should be a lot of fun. The men's high jump final, which I think is a really open event. It's going to be, I think some young jumpers are going to have a chance to really excel. And that's at 8:09. At 8:13, the semifinals for the men's 800. And we have some people who know how to use elbows in that race. That's going to be a lot of fun. The women's long jumps at 8:29. So Malika Mahambo, among others. And that should be a lot of fun. The 1,000 meter in the HEP, the final event of the heptathlon, is at 8:45. So these guys have been competing for 2 days. Who's going to have the energy to put it together? And this should be a lot of fun. This is always a popular event. And that's followed by three exciting finals. The men's 400 final at 9:10, always a barn burner. The men's 60-meter finals at 9:40. That's going to be really exciting. And again, in the men's 60 in Europe, they've got some strong competitors, but I'm trying to think who shines. And it's who can get their stuff together, who can get their act together during a major championships. Oh, someone's asking me, what's this in the background? This is the Laren Hall. This is the global headquarters of Run Blog Run in Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin. Just thought I'd throw that in. So the 60-meter hurdle finals is at 9:40. The final event on day 3 is the women's 400 final. Will Leaky Klaver put it all together and win gold for the Netherlands? That's going to be really interesting. And it'll probably be one of the most pressure-filled races that Enrique has had. So that should be interesting. So that's day 3. And then all good things must come to an end. So we have a very long day on day 4. We start at 9 a.m., kids, on Sunday, the 9th. Yes, I'll be mainlining espresso. So hopefully a Lavazza will be nearby. The women's pentathlon, one-day event, starts with the 60-meter hurdles at 9 a.m., followed at 9:50 by the high jump in the pentathlon. Then there is the qualification for the men's shot put, Leonardo Fabri among others, but there is a strong contingent of European male throwers, and so I'm looking forward to that. At 11:40, the medal ceremony for the men in the 400. At 11:46, the medal ceremony for the women in the 400. That'll be followed in round 1 of the women's 60 meters. And then the third event in the pentathlon, the shot put for women at 12:21. We will take a break, a very short break, and come back at 2 o'clock for the triple jump men's ceremony, followed by the heptathlon ceremony at 2:06, 2:12, the pole vault medal ceremony for women. And again, what's fun about the Europeans, especially the indoors, is so many events you can't predict. And I love that. I like to learn about the new athletes too. At 2:18, the men's high jump medal ceremony. And then at 2:24, the women's long jump medal ceremony. And at 2:30, the 60 meters ceremony. That'll be followed up at 5:10 with the long jump pentathlon from the pentathlon, and then at 3:10, excuse me, and that's the pentathlon event in the long jump, number 4, and then the 60-meter semifinals for women. Who is going to be doing that? Is Majinga Kambunji? Is Ua Sabota? I don't know, inquiring minds. And then at 4:28, the men's shot put final, an event we've all been looking for. It is crazy town after that, kids. I mean, serious. This is a busy, busy day. At 4:33, the women's 800 final. I think that's a totally open event. The men's pole vault at 4:42 final. I think Mr. Corrales has the nod, but Renaud Lavillenie, our buddy Renaud, Laurent de la Perche, the Pesh, not the fish, the king of the fish, the king of the pole vault. But Renaud he just broke the Masters 35 and over record with 5:91, his best jump since 2021. He looked fantastic, and I really want to see him do well. I'd love to see him win another European, right? The 3,000-meter final with our friend Jakob Ingebrigtsen. He'll already done the 1,500. This is an event he really likes. And Jakob told me at the pre in 2023 that he thinks he's built for the 3,000. He said it's one thing to do a 55 second pace. Yes, I'm drinking Earl Grey tea this morning. Just trying to get the brain moving very slowly. So that 3,000 with Mr. Ingebrigtsen and with George Mills, that's going to be really, really interesting, I think. The women's high jump final, Yaroslava Mahuchik and Angelina Topic, that should be splendiferous. That's at 5:05. That's followed up at 5:27 by the men's 800 final. That is going to be a barn burner. Is one of our French friends going to dominate there? Um, because they have good elbows, and you need good elbows in the men's 800 indoors, right? The women's 3,000 final. Um, I'd like to see Ms. Nuttall do well and Laura Muir do well. That's going to be really interesting to see what happens there. The women's shot put final is at 5:52, and Miss Schindler from the Netherlands is going to be, um, I think, one of the favorites. And then at 6:03, we follow with the final event of the pentathlon, the 800. That should be fun too. The 4x400 men's final is at 6:24. The women's 60-meter hurdles, Majinga Kambunji, Uwe Sabota. Inquiring minds want to know. That's going to be at 6:37. That's followed by the women's 4x4. And I got to tell you, it is going to be a barn burner. The Netherlands team with Femke Bol and Lieke Klaver, among others, going to be dynamite, or dynamite, could be too, right? The medal ceremony for wow, then the last event, the final event at 6:50 is the women's final of the 4x4. Appledorn will go nuts. That's what everybody's there for, to see a couple medals for our friends from the Netherlands. And then we have medal ceremonies. We have the women's 800-meter medal ceremony at 7, followed by the men's 3,000 at 7:06, followed by the men's shot put at 7:12, followed by the men's 800 at 7:18, the women's 3,000 at 7:24 medal ceremony, then the pentathlon at 7:30. How many national records will be set in the pentathlon? That's going to be kind of fun to see, right? Then the high jump for women, Miss Yaroslava Mahuchik, who has the leading jump in the world right now, and championing her country, Ukraine. Um, and that's really important. And I think her being an ambassador for the Ukraine is a big, big deal. Um, the men's pole vault ceremony, um, I'm going to see Renault get a medal. So we'll keep my fingers crossed. The men's 4x4 medal ceremony, the women's 60-meter hurdles. Who's it going to be? Uwe Sabota, Mujinga Kamunji. A surprise. Um, Bianca Williams, is she going to get a medal? Hey, shot put, women's medal ceremony at 8, and the final ceremony of the evening where we bid adieu in Appledore. The women's 4x400-meter relay at 8:06. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I really do. And I think that so how we're going to cover it is we'll have our previews up. Deji Ogiyimbu is going to be covering it remotely from Georgia State, where he's working on his master's degree. And he'll be helping me with Twitter, and he will also be doing some previews. Stuart Weir is going to be doing previews of the British team. In fact, I'm getting the British selection up today. I will be covering social media. I will be doing interviews in the mix zone and getting those up and sending those back to Indy for Mike Deering. And Mike in the evenings will look at me and go, Larry, you're out of your frigging mind. But, you know, Mikey deals with me really well. He's a special person. And thank you, Michael, for all of your management of our production and management of me, because I know as our fans know, it's a challenge dealing with me. Oh, and people are asking, Larry, why are you in your lovely sweater that your partner Kathy made for you and this great little hat? And I said, well, I'm trying to pretend like I'm Northern European. I'm actually families from Hungary, but I really love the Netherlands. The food is great there. The people are lovely there. In Utrecht, they have a honeybee hotel, and they have beehives above the um, bus stop. So we're going to go visit Utrecht as well. I don't know a lot about Apeldoorn, but I'm going to learn, and I'm looking forward to it. I do know our buddy Joe Mangan, who I coached with at Foothill College. You guys have heard me talk about Joe for years. Joe told me that there is a Turkish pizza place in downtown Apeldoorn that's supposed to be very, very good. And his sister lives right outside of there. So Joe should know. So, we're going to check it out. If anybody gets there before me, let me know. Um, but I also think that the crowds at the Euro, my first European indoor was in Gothenburg in 2013. Then I was at 2015. That was in Prague. Then 2017, Belgrade. And I enjoyed all three of those. Oh, before that, 2011, I was in Bercy, France. That was a very interesting championship. That's where I got to meet Mr. Bubka, and got to learn about his why he broke world records by a centimeter because of a financial inducement where he became a budding young capitalist, in a Marxist society. And so but the 2011 in France was crazy town, really exciting. The In Gothenburg is San Francisco, but they speak Swedish, and the food is wonderful, great seafood. There's a place called Fiskerkrugen, the fish church, that I would go to and order fresh seafood and just worship. And then in Prague, that was in 2015. I thought the stadium was lovely. It's where I got my espresso every 2 hours to stay awake. I sat next to a grandmother with her young child, a grandson and granddaughter that she brought to the meet, because I was kind of sitting up in the stands and enjoying it. I just moved around and had a great time. Um, Wonderful competition in Prague, and the Pilsner Urquell was killer. I stayed in the old town in Prague, in the old Hilton, which was this really classy old hotel. It was really, really fun. And then in 2017 in Belgrade, I was in a Hilton Garden Inn, and I love seeing the streetcars. The stadium was great. The people were lovely. I would just walk around. I found this place for dinner. I am not making this up. I found this place for dinner and a neon sign up front of this guy clobbering or beheading a chicken. And what it was chicken kebabs. And I had some very tasty chicken kebabs and a Serb beer, and it was wonderful. And walking around at night in Belgrade was a kick. The meat was fantastic. Um, they put me they put me by myself, as there's only two Americans there. It was Ed Gordon and myself. And I felt like I was on this little isthmus. But what I got to see was incredible views, especially like of the long jump, and just seeing over the track. So I'm looking forward to Apeldoorn. The facility looks amazing, and the Netherlands has really been one to do this. Daphne Schiefers, Daphne is a world champion, Olympic medalist, and she's wonderful. She is the meeting director, and this has been the focus of her life for the last year. And I think that's really, really cool. So we're looking forward to 4 incredible days of European athletics. And thank you our friends, to Biljana Doncic and the whole crew at European Athletics for their support. and their suggestions. But this is Conversations with Larry. This was your preview of the 2025 European Athletics Indoor Championships, which will be held in Apeldoorn, the Netherlands, from March 6th through 9th, 2025. Run Blog Run will be there, and you will be there too, at least in spirit. You can watch it on the Eurovision Sport application. It's free. Download it. It's got the best streaming of any place I've seen besides Breaking Two back in 2017 with our friends from Nike. So European Athletics does a lot of good things, and they have a very effective and thoughtful group of sponsors, and we will share those with you too, yeah, in the near future. Okay, peace out.